Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending my session today. It's an online session, and thank you for the Young Tech community for this invitation. Today, I will talk how to use a new solution like SharePoint site. It's SharePoint Embedded, and I want to show you how you can use it with Power Apps to store your file with SharePoint Embedded. So SharePoint Embedded is it's a new thing with Microsoft. So I will with this session I will deep in detail what is SharePoint Embedded and how you can use it with Power Apps. And before I start, let's present myself. So my name is Jamel Abed. I'm freelance Microsoft 365 consultant. I'm MVP on M365 development and SharePoint. And as you can see, I have many flags here. So I work in France and I live in Belgium. And I was born in Tunisia and I'm moving to Dubai. I have many business in Dubai. And I have been working on SharePoint since the year 2007. Show presenter. Okay. Just 1 second. I need just to uh, uh, okay, okay, okay. Now it's okay. And when you check the community website, communitydays.org, you can check I'm the #1 speaker. So because every day, almost every week, I'm speaking somewhere. Today I was speaking in New York at Times Square. So I was presenting about SharePoint Embedded. It's the same topic, but another level. So it's not about how to connect to Power Apps. If you want to connect with me in LinkedIn, you have my LinkedIn. And if you have any question at any time, you can ask me on LinkedIn about SharePoint Embedded. And I want to share all my last presentation in person. So this photo, it was from Microsoft Office last month during an event. And also this picture, it was from Tunisia. I organized an event there 2 months ago. So it's about AI community, the Canadian community. And the picture, it was in South Korea. So I was in South Korea and at Microsoft office last year in October. So as you can see, we had a nice view. It's not generated by AI. It's at Microsoft office. And also this the presentation. So it was in USA, in Nashville. So it's organized in a stadium, and we had 200 attendee in person attendee. So I was presenting how to get started with SharePoint Document. Okay, the agenda for today. Today I will talk, as you know, when you are working with a company organization, we have facing many problems, how to manage file and everything, and why we need a new solution and how this SharePoint Embedded can help for it. And I will share with you a real use case with one customer. And later I will talk what is it SharePoint Embedded in general, and I'll talk about the architecture and how we can integrate the SharePoint Embedded with your Power Platform. And the Microsoft product, there is a cost. I will share with you how much it costs, and I will compare with other solutions like SharePoint Site or Blob Storage. And if you are administrator, I will show you how to manage the all SharePoint embedded container and everything. And if you're a developer, I will show you how to start, what are the tools you need to start to work on it. At the end, I'll show you in demo how to use it, how it's work and everything. So let's start with the company challenge, how to manage your application and data. So I want to to show you because I want to share with you this slide. Why to share with you this slide? Because when I work with many customers, they said, I'm storing my file in SharePoint site because it's free. So SharePoint site is not free. And for each tenant, a Microsoft 365 tenant, we have 1 TB for free for SharePoint storage. And you will have, for each licensing user, you will have 10 GB per user. That means when you have a company, when a company has 200 user licensed under E3, you will have 3 TB for free, 1 TB from the tenant and 2 TB from licensed user, and you will pay extra every month. You have 20 cents monthly for each gigabyte when you exceed this limit. That means it's not free when you work on SharePoint site. If you exceed this limit, you will pay the extra. So it's very important because I want to compare with SharePoint Embedded also. And I work with one customer, so I want to share with you this real use case. This customer has only one Microsoft 365 tenant, and we have 300,000 users, and they are sharing only one tenant, and we are developing many applications for many business units, and it's very hard for each month to calculate the real cost for each project in terms of storage, and also it's very hard to calculate the storage for each project for each business unit. And when you work on SharePoint site, you don't know, you can see how much data you have, but you cannot see how much it costs. So it's very hard to split this bill with with the business units. And also we have many business units that are afraid about AI. Let's say this, we want our data be isolated from AI. And this is why we are searching for solution like SharePoint site. So a solution where you can store file like SharePoint document library. It's like we have with UI and all the feature like versioning, sharing, and everything. And this solution help us to calculate for each project and for each business unit how much it costs per month in terms of storage, and also the solution work with AI. And this is why I will talk today about SharePoint Embedded and how I will show you how it's possible with SharePoint Embedded to achieve these goals. So what is it, SharePoint Embedded? SharePoint Embedded, it's announced by Microsoft 2 years ago. It was in November 2023. It was in public preview, and in May 2024 in general availability. So SharePoint Embedded allow your application to create a dedicated partition for your application inside your tenant. That means, and this partition, it's a container. So all the content. So if you want to compare to SharePoint site, to SharePoint document library, so SharePoint Embedded, you don't need to create SharePoint site. You create a container inside your SharePoint, inside your Microsoft 365 tenant, and all the containers stay inside your tenant. And you are talking only about document-centric solution. That means we don't have list like SharePoint list or like SharePoint list. And all the access, it's by Graph API. So with SharePoint Embedded, we don't have UI. You need to develop your UI and to manage file on this container. And this why in this session, I will show you how we can use Power Apps with Power Automate to manage file inside SharePoint Embedded container. It's like the same thing when you work with Power Apps and you want to store file in SharePoint site. So I will show you how it's possible with SharePoint Embedded. And all the container are linked to a container type. Container type, it's a collection of container. So we cannot find a container inside your tenant without container type. And in terms of user experience, nothing changed like when you compare when you work with SharePoint site or OneDrive. For example, if you work with Office document and those files are stored in SharePoint embedded container, you will have the same feature like the security feature. You can add permission for this file and everything. You have the versioning of this file as SharePoint document library, and you can share this file with other user. And also we have the collaboration feature. For example, many users can work at the same time on the same file. It's nothing changed compared to SharePoint site on term of this feature. And also, if you inside your organization, if you have sensitive label, this sensitive label are those sensitive label will be available also for your content inside SharePoint embedded content. And it's very important for SharePoint embedded container, you pay as you go. It's not like SharePoint site, we need to pay license every month. And when you exceed the storage, you pay also the extra. But with SharePoint embedded container, you pay as you go for the content. And I will show you compared to SharePoint to Microsoft application, how it's managed, how it's worked. So here I took a screenshot from my SharePoint Admin Center. As you can see on the left, since 2 years, we have on the left, if you notice it, we have container. So container, it's SharePoint embedded container. Here, when I check my active container, here as you can see, I have many custom container. And we have many Microsoft application use also SharePoint embedded container as main storage. For example, Designer also, as you can see, it's by Microsoft, and it's very important. The Microsoft application, the application, the Microsoft application which use SharePoint embedded container consume your free storage. That means, for example, do you know Copilot pages? When you search something on Copilot, you have the option to edit the result in page. So what happened behind the scene? Copilot pages, it's an application developed by Microsoft, will create a workspace stored inside SharePoint embedded container inside your tenant. And for Microsoft application, the Microsoft application, you will consume your free storage. So when you develop a custom application with SharePoint embedded, you will pay as you go for this content. But for the Microsoft application, application will use your free storage. I will explain more in the next slide. And also for each container, we can apply sensitive label. So sensitive label, we can add it to the file and also for a container. And here, if you check the property of each container, we have many attributes here. We have the name, we have the storage, and it's very important we have the link to this container. So the link is to this container. All the time we have content storage. For example, if you want to share the Copilot pages, when you share it, you will see that you have content storage and the link. And also, if you want to work with Copilot Studio and create an agent in Copilot Studio, and this agent for example, want this agent to use SharePoint embedded container as a knowledge, you will use you will use this link for it. And also we can add permission for your container from the SharePoint Admin Center. So here we have many permission. And let's talk about how everything is situated in terms of storage architecture. So as you know, our infrastructure, it's Microsoft Cloud. So Microsoft 365 run on Microsoft Cloud. And of the top of this layer, we have our platform as a service. In this platform as a service, we have Microsoft 365 security and compliance by default by Microsoft, and also your custom 365, your custom security and compliance. And of the top of it, we have SharePoint embedded container. And that means all the security feature for your tenant from Microsoft and for your custom security compliance and everything, this security are available for your content. Nothing changed. So for example, when you store a file in SharePoint document library, and you have many rules like sensitive label and everything, the sensitive label will apply the same will apply in your SharePoint document library. And if you store this file in your container, you will have the same sensitive label. So nothing changed. You stay inside your tenant. So all the security are available for those content. And of the top of it, we have the experience. The experience is split on two parts, because on the left, you have your custom application, the application you develop inside your organization, and also you have the application you purchase from ISV. Why is split on two parts? Because for those applications, you will pay for the content for SharePoint Embedded, you will pay as you go. And on the right, we have the Microsoft 365 application developed by Microsoft, like Loop, like Designer, and also there is an application, Edge Workspace. So I will show you what is it, Edge Workspace. And for Microsoft application, for the content for those application, this application consume your free storage. It's very important. When you check your SharePoint Admin Center, you will see many Microsoft 365 application consume your free storage. because they are Microsoft applications. So you will not pay for the storage as you go for those applications. And what is Edge Workspace? Edge Workspace, when you work with Edge, your browser, you have an option to create a workspace. So, for example, if you work in a company with many users, you work on the same project, you want to share for each project the link for this project. So you can create a workspace and you can add the link to all for this project, and you can share it with many users. And what happened behind the scene? Edge Workspace use SharePoint Embedded container to store those workspace. It's like loop and use loop, also the same thing. You can check it on your browser Edge also. And in terms of storage, I will show you, before you know about SharePoint Embedded, to store a file, you have two options. You can create SharePoint site, and inside SharePoint document library, you will add your file. And also for each user has a personal OneDrive. You can add your file to your personal OneDrive. You can share it with other user. And now we have the option to use SharePoint embedded container. So for the tenant, you don't need to activate anything. I will show you how to create a container and how you can start work on it. And to access to those files, to this content in SharePoint site and OneDrive, we can access online from your browser. And also when you work with Office application, we can open the file Office document stored in SharePoint and OneDrive with Microsoft Office apps. And for SharePoint Embedded, we cannot do it directly. We need to use Graph API, and Graph API can access to all the file inside your Microsoft 365 tenant. And you need to use your app with the Graph API to manage file inside your SharePoint Embedded content. So in this case, when you want to use Power Apps, you need to register an Azure application, and you add the client ID and everything. I will show you how to do it in the next slide. And Power Apps, it's your UI. And from Power Apps, you'll use Power Automate. Power Automate will use Graph API to manage content inside SharePoint Embedded. I'll show you in detail how it's works. And in terms of architecture, when you talk about SharePoint Embedded, we talk about SharePoint Embedded application, SharePoint Embedded container type, and the file storage container, and we have files. So what is a SharePoint Embedded application? It's your app registration on Microsoft Azure. So Microsoft has introduced a new permission, a Graph API permission, file storage container dot selected. So when you check your app registration on Microsoft Azure, you enter on the API permission, we have a new permission with SharePoint Embedded. It's called file storage container dot selected. This permission allow your application to manage the container inside your tenant. So we need to add this permission. And the file storage container, what is it? So file storage container, it's a partition inside your tenant, and the container ID, it's all this string like this. And for each application, you can create many container. And for each application, you can create up to 100,000 container per tenant. For example, when you use, for example, Copilot Pages, it's an application developed by Microsoft. Imagine you develop an application, you are ISV, you develop the application. So you are the developer for each consumer tenant. You can create up to 100,000 container per tenant. And all the container are linked to your application via the container type. So you have your app registration, and you create your container type, and then you can create your container for the content. And all the access, it's by Graph API, and it's fully integrated with Microsoft 365 experience. That means when you work with Office document and everything, all this feature are available for your content. If you store Office document inside your container, this Office document will have, if you store a file, you have many features like versioning, like collaboration, everything. So nothing changed in terms of user experience when you work in SharePoint site or OneDrive or SharePoint embedded container. And also for each container, you can store up to 25 terabytes. So imagine you can create up to 100,000 container for each application per tenant, and you can store up to 25 terabyte for each container. So, and also, what is it? The container type? It's the parent of your container. Container type, it's a collection of container, and the ID, it's a simple GUID like this, and it's created in the provider tenant and use it in the consumer tenant. If you are developer or consumer, for example, if you only have one tenant, you can develop your application and use those application with your tenant. For example, if you are ISV, you can create multi-tenant applications. So, and container type, it's a group container, and the file. So all the files are supported with SharePoint Embedded container, and the same thing work like SharePoint site. And it's very important for each file you add to your container. Each file added, we have an ID for this file. Here, for example, I'm using Postman. I'm testing my Graph API query. I use graph.microsoft.com, and in my query, I specify the container ID and the name. So in this query, I added one file to my container, and the result of my query, I have the ID for the file I just added, and also from the property, you have the web URL, and we can open this file online, and this file also stored in SharePoint Embedded Content. As you can see, you have content storage. When you see content storage in a link like this, it's SharePoint Embedded. And it's very important when you share this file with other user. So imagine the user has no Office license, for example. The user don't need Office license to open this file or to read this file. So because you already pay as you go for the content. So it's very important. When you store a file, Office document, for example, in SharePoint Embedded Container, and you share this file with other user, the user don't need license for Office to open this file and everything. And now the question, how to use it with Power Platform. So it's you have many options when you work with Power Apps. You have SharePoint site, blob storage, and everything. But how it's work with Power Platform? So in Power Platform, we'll use to manage your file inside SharePoint Embedded Container. We need to use your Microsoft Graph API for all the query, and we'll use Power Automate and Power Apps for the UI. So Power Apps for the UI, Power Apps call Power Automate, and Power Automate use the Graph API. And if you have Power Automate, you can use the HTTP connector. And in this connector, for example, here I have a query. I want to add the file with Power Automate inside SharePoint Embedded Content. And we can use Power Automate HTTP connector. And here on the link, we have the graph query. We have graph.microsoft, and we specify the container ID. I will show you on demo how it's work. So, and here also you specify the folder ID, and in SharePoint Embedded Container, it's like SharePoint document library. We can create folder inside of it, and here you specify the file name, and here the body. And here the difference, you need to specify other attributes. And here when you click on show advanced option, and here the difference, to specify your SharePoint Embedded content. And here, for example, for the audience, you need to specify the graph.microsoft.com, and authority, it's login microsoftonline.com. And the client ID, we need to specify the client ID. The client ID, it's your app registration ID and the secret for this application. And in this way, we can add the file to your SharePoint Embedded container with Power Automate. And also, if you want to create a container, you'll use the HTTP connector also, and you have post query. So you can use graph.microsoft, and you specify the display name, description, and container type ID. And the same thing, if you want to add permission, you can use the graph.microsoft and you specify the container ID. And here we can specify the user principal emails. And all the time you specify the option for your SharePoint embedded container, your app ID, your secret, and audience, and your tenant ID, everything. And here the question, where to find all those queries for SharePoint embedded container. And for all the query, you need to use it with SharePoint embedded. You will find it with this link. So this link, it's the Postman collection. You can import it to your Postman. As you can see here on the left, we have all the query you can use for SharePoint embedded. I will show you in demo how it's work. And also, if you want to start with Power Apps with the solution ready for use, we can download the SharePoint Embedded Starter Kit. It's free of use. It's developed by Steve from Microsoft, and the solution it's ready to use. It's Power Apps. It's a Power Platform solution. You will have Power Apps, Canvas apps, and you will find 23 flow ready to use. And here the SharePoint Embedded Starter Kit. As you can see on the left, we have one app, one Canvas app, and we have 23 Power Automate flow ready for use. And I will show you on demo how it's work. So here, as you can see, we have many flow ready for use. And once you install it in your environment, you can see it's the UI. It's look like this for the Canvas app. You have on the left the container, and it's like if you want to start, you have a solution to start to work with SharePoint Embedded, and you can use the flow and everything for your custom Power Apps. As you can see here, we can create container. Inside the container we can add files. So you have all the option how it's work. And also Microsoft has announced a new connector for Power Platform. And now it's in private preview. If you want to register and to test it, you can scan this QR code, and Microsoft it will activate on your tenant. So as I showed you here how to use Graph API with HTTP connector, but with this connector, SharePoint Embedded connector, we don't need anymore to use Graph API. We need Graph API like HTTP connector, and you need just to, as you can see on the right, you can use the connector for example, to upload a file, to create a connector, to create a container. So you can use directly the connector for SharePoint Embedded. So you have two options: use Graph API with HTTP connector, or use the new one. So it's still in private preview. If you want to test it, you can scan this QR code to test it. And the cost of SharePoint Embedded. So we have two types of SharePoint Embedded. You have the trial version, and we have the standard SharePoint Embedded. The trial version for each tenant or Microsoft 365 tenant, you can test it for free. You can create SharePoint Embedded container type valid for 30 days, and you can create up to 5 container, and each container is limited to 1 gigabyte. So the purpose of the purpose of keep it free. So you need to test it for free and without paying anything. So you can do it all the time. I'm using the trial version, and if you want to use in production environment and everything, so you can pay as you go for the content. And for the content of SharePoint Embedded, as I said, you pay as you go. You pay for the content for per gigabyte per day, and the price is price. And also, it's very important, you will pay for the Graph API transaction. Imagine from your application, when you call your Graph API, you will pay for each call. And here the question, what is the difference if it's better for me, I will store my file in SharePoint site, and I already pay as you go I don't pay as you go for the content. I pay every month, license every month for each user, and I'm using SharePoint site, and I will not pay for the call API. And here the question, I work with a customer in France. We are maintaining nuclear plants, and we have many projects and we need to store file for those projects for 30 years, or for 5 or 10, for 20 years. And for those file, we need user will access to this file 2 times per month. So here the question, why when you need like this, why storing the file in SharePoint site and you need to pay license every month for this user? Better for you to stay to work with SharePoint Embedded, then you pay as you go. It costs less expensive. And for example, if you have a project and the requirement for the project to use security like sensitive label and people they are using the file every day, so it's better to store this file in the file for your project inside SharePoint document library, because it will cost less expensive than SharePoint site. And if you have another project and you have another requirement, we don't have requirement for sensitive label or security or other security like sensitive label preview and everything. So it's better to use Azure Blob Storage. It's better compared to SharePoint document library, compared to SharePoint embedded container. It's better. It's cost less expensive to use Azure Blob Storage. So it's up to you. You need to calculate the cost for each project, for how many years you want to use the project, how many user, if the user has license, and how much the license costs every month, and for the content. And also for when you search for your file, all the content stored in SharePoint Embedded, you can search for this content with Copilot. For example, if you have license, Copilot license, and you ask Copilot to search for your file, you can Copilot can find your file. And when you open your file from Copilot, you will not pay the API call. You pay only API call from your application, your develop application. Like when you use Power Apps, you code for Power Automate, you will pay one call. And also when you check the price for 1 month, the 20 cents, it's like the price when you exceed the free storage of SharePoint site. And the container permission, so you have many, for SharePoint embedded content permission, you have many permissions. So you have 4 levels of permission. You have the owner, manager, editor, and reader. The owner for SharePoint embedded container has the full control of container, and the manager can only add or modify the property and the content, and the editor can only add the content for this and delete the content inside the container, but not and the editor cannot modify the attribute the property of the container, and the reader can only read the property and the content. And as you know, in SharePoint site, when you compare to SharePoint site, we have different level of permission. We have the SharePoint site permission, we have the document library permission, we have the folder or the file permission, and in some use case, we need to apply a unique permission for your document library also. We have the option to break role inheritance. Unlike SharePoint, we don't have this on SharePoint embedded content. So we can only add, modify, or delete permission, but you cannot apply unique permission like SharePoint site. And for each container, we have many custom property. We have you can add property for your container, and also we can specify those property are searchable or not. And here, for example, to add property for your container, we can use Graph API, and you need to specify your container ID. And here we have the custom property. Here, for example, I added a property for my container. For my property is department, and for each container, I need to specify the value. For example, here I add property for this department finance. And we have also many, like in SharePoint site, SharePoint document library, we have many fields for your container. So you have a container, it's like SharePoint embedded, your SharePoint embedded container, it's like a SharePoint document library. We can specify a field, and we don't have, we cannot find the lookup field. Unlike SharePoint, in SharePoint, we can add lookup field for specify, we need to look for the field from other list, but in SharePoint embedded container, we don't have the lookup field. And if you want to manage your SharePoint embedded container and everything, you have 4 options. You can use PowerShell, you can use your SharePoint Admin Center, and also you can use Microsoft Purview, and you can use Microsoft Graph API. And Microsoft, since has introduced SharePoint Embedded, there is a new permission, and this permission is called SharePoint Embedded Administrator. And this permission allow you to manage the container inside your tenant, Microsoft 365 tenant. And for example, if you work with a company and you want to split the role, for example, if you want only one admin to manage only the container, and this admin, you don't need this admin to manage the SharePoint site and everything. We can add this permission to this user, and I will show you the difference here. For example, here I am the global admin for the SharePoint site. As you can see, in my SharePoint admin center, I have the active site, container, and everything. And here I'm connected with another user, and this user has only the permission to manage container. As you can see, in SharePoint admin center, I have only this user can only manage the content of the SharePoint embedded content. It's really useful with your organization. If you want to split the role, you need to apply only one role to manage the container and not to manage the site. So as you can see here, the difference on the left here, I have everything. And with the new permission, the user can only manage container. And if you want to start work with SharePoint Embedded, I'll show you how we can do it. If you are a developer, you can use the Visual Code extension. You can use Visual Code and you can search for SharePoint Embedded extension. And once install it, you can sign to your Microsoft 365 and you can create a trial container. As I said, you can, for each tenant, we don't need to activate anything. You can create a trial container, and once created, it's valid 30 days, but it's expire, you can delete it and create another one. And for the Postman, you can find all the query for Graph API query for SharePoint Embedded Container with this link, ik.ms SPA Postman. And you can use Postman, you can use Visual Code. I will show you in the a real use case how to do it. And also you have PowerShell. For example, to create your container type, you have two options. You can create container type with PowerShell, and the command it's a new SPU container type. We specify its trial container type and your container type name and the application ID, your app registration. But if you want to create with PowerShell container type with Azure subscription, you need to specify all the attribute for your Azure subscription and resource group and your region for it. And now I'll show you on demo how to work. If you have any question, let me know. Here in my demo, I'll show you in Visual Code. Okay. Here in Visual Code, I have my SharePoint embedded. I'll sign to my here it show trial experience, but I can use it also. Here I'm using the SharePoint embedded extension in Visual Code. As you can see here, I already create my container type, and here it will show all my my container associated to this container type. So just I will refresh it, and I will show you in my SharePoint admin center. So once it's refreshed, I will show you in my SharePoint admin center, and we'll come back to extension. Here, for example, I have my SharePoint admin center. As you can see, I have my active container. Here, just check. Okay. On the left, when I click on active container, as you can see, I have a view for all my container inside the Microsoft 365, my 365 tenant. For example, we have the designer. It's Microsoft application. Use your free storage to store the workspace and everything, and it's developed by Microsoft. And also, I have my custom container here. For example, EI Boston. I have 3 custom container, and for each container, I have this link. And this link, if when you work with agent with Copilot Studio, will need this URL. You need this link to add it to your knowledge for your Copilot agent. And here, as you can see, we have the publisher and application name. Also here, for example, we have page here for Copilot pages, and it's our Microsoft application. So, and here you can check the storage for it. So, and I will go to my container, and here in Visual Code, as you can see here, just remember, I will share this one. I will refresh, and here it will show my container. Not showing here. But anyway, here I should have all this container associated to my application ID. You have your application ID, you associate your container type, and for each container type, you have many containers. So here I will show you also in Power Apps. Wait, Postman. I will show you on Postman first. In Postman, I imported all the Graph API code. And here, for example, if in Postman, if you know Postman, you can simulate your query. You can use it to test your query before use it in your application. Here, for example, on the left, I will call this the Graph API query to search for all my container associated to this container type ID. And when I send the query, I should have, you check on my screen here. I'm sorry, I cannot share two screen for it, but here, as you can see, I have SP Boston 1, 2, 3, and the result here, I have all the container. I have SP Boston 1 and the ID, display name, and creation, if I'm owner or no, and the ID, and for this container. For example, if I want to create a container, the same thing, you can use the graph.microsoft.com to create a container, everything. So you can check all the query here. We have everything. For example, if you want to upload a file, you just search for the file, and you will find upload file. That is the query to upload a file. Here to upload a file, you need to specify your container ID, the file extension, and everything. So, and here when you use Postman, but here I will show you. And also in your SharePoint Visual Code, SharePoint Embedded in Visual Code, we can export all the configuration to Postman. For example, you can do it like this. Set up Postman collection. For example, when you use SharePoint Embedded extension with Visual Code, we can export all the variable to use it to import it to Postman. So you don't need to check your tenant ID or everything, the application ID container. All the configuration file, you can import it to Postman. And if you can see my Postman, here I have many configuration. What I did, I just exported from my Visual Code all the attribute to use it in Postman. Okay, and now I will show you how it works with Power Automate and Power Apps. So here, for example, I show you there is a solution. It's Power Platform Starter Kit. You can install it with in your tenant, in your Power Platform. It's a Power Platform solution. And once install it, you will find inside this solution, you have your Power Apps. You have Canvas apps here. And let me show you. I will open this Power Apps. How many time I need left for my presentation? 10 minutes?
Yeah, Jamil, please take your time. No problem.
Okay then.
We are
Okay,
still waiting for the next speaker, so please take your
okay,
time.
okay. Okay, so okay, to check. And here I will open my app. I'll skip it. And I will return to my presentation. I will show you the app. It's the now I am showing you what is SharePoint Embedded Starter Kit. It's Power Platform solution, and you can install it in an environment. And once installed, you can use it as a starter for your project. For example, it's like this. For example, you have the UI like this, and okay, skip it. And yes, as you can see, you have your container here. You can create container, delete container. I didn't configure it with my tenant, but we have all the options. You can check how it's work behind the scene, and and so what happened behind the scene when you click on create container, there is here a flow. You have inside your the solution you have 23 flow ready to use. For example, if you want to create a container, just check the flow. I will edit the flow. I will show you how it's work. So from your power apps, you have your UI, you have the action, you have the button, everything. When you click on create, for example, a container, you call the create container flow. So it's launched from your Power Apps, and you need in the solution to specify your container type ID, container name, and everything. And you can use environment variable for it. And you will call the HTTP query. As you can see here, you have the post query and the Graph API. So you will use Graph API.microsoft storage file storage container. Here I want to create a container, and I need to specify the display name. Display name, it's from my Power Apps. When you create a container, you have a text box. The user will fill the text box with the container name, container description, and you have already the container type ID. And here, the difference here when you click on show advanced option, I'll click here, and here you need to specify the authority here. It's all those variable the attributes are stored in environment variable, so you can use it. You don't need to specify all the time the client ID and the secret. And once it's created, we can call the HTTP permission. We can add permission for this container for this user. And once you have the results, the query return the container ID. For example, if you want to use, I'll go to my app. Just go to my app. Okay, just go to my. I will go to my app. I'll show other flow. So here I show you the create container. And also, for example, if you want to upload a file. So here, when you download the solution, you can use it directly with your Microsoft 365 tenant, your Power Platform solution. And here, for example, if I want to upload a file, I'll search delete file, get file, upload file. Here, for example, I have a flow to upload a file. If I open this flow, so here from Power Apps, you need to, it calls from Power Apps, your Power Apps, you specify container ID, folder ID, and file to upload. And here with your HTTP connector, you specify its put method. Here you can specify the put or post its put. And here you have the graph.microsoft, and you specify your container ID, the folder. As I said, in container, you can create folder like SharePoint document library, and you specify the file name and the body for your file. And here the same thing for advanced option. You can specify your client ID for your SharePoint embedded application and the secret for this application. And here, for example, in Postman, I will show you, for example, I want to upload a file. So I will use this. I'll show you here in Postman. So I want to upload a file. I need to specify the file. For example, I will create. I'll take this file. I will upload a Word document, and here in the body, you need to specify. I will download the file from my tenant. For example, I will create new Word document. Take this one. I'll take this doc, and here I will execute the query. I need this query in Graph API. The same thing we can do it with Power Automate. You can specify your container ID and the name of the file. And once I send the query, here I will show you the result. So it's very important, the result for the query. Here what I did, I use Graph API with Postman to upload this file. And the result, I have the ID for this file inside this tenant. It's like this ID. And also we have many properties here. We have the link to open this file online. As you can see, we have content storage. If I take this link, I will open on my edge. Here, for example, I will go to my, I will open a new one here. And here I'm working on a file stored in SharePoint Embedded container. As you can see, the link to my file, I have content storage. So here I have everything. You can use Copilot, you can use everything. It's nothing changed in terms of your user experience. And also I will return to Power Apps solution, the starter kit, and you can find all the query of it. So if you want to start with it, you can use the Power Automate, and you'll find all the Power Automate ready for use. For example, if you want, I show you in Postman how to upload a file, and here, for example, if you want to delete, for example, get container. For example, I think here we'll search for the container. Here, get container. When I check this flow, I don't check container. So get container property. No, I'll check. Get container. Yes, I will edit it here. I'll edit the flow. For example, if you want to check this flow, to get all the container associated to your application ID, here it's I don't I have the value here for the link for the query. For the query, it's a graph.microsoft and the container, and you need to specify your container type ID, and you execute the query once, and you specify the attribute. Right. As you can see, we can use all the Graph API with your Power Automate, and you can call all those Power Automates from your Power Apps. So, and also, if I have 1 minute, I will show you also if you can use it in Copilot Studio. For example, in Copilot Studio, if you want to use SharePoint Embedded container as a knowledge for your content, here for each agent, we can add the knowledge stored in SharePoint Embedded container. And to find the link, how to add it, for example, to add the knowledge here, you don't have SharePoint Embedded, we have SharePoint. And here we specify the container URL for it. And to find the container URL, as I said, in your SharePoint Admin Center or in Post Management, for example, here in my SharePoint Admin Center. Here, for example, I want to add knowledge also for this container. You can use this link to it, and you can add it as a knowledge here. Here, for example, for my agent. So this presentation is about Power Platform integration. I'll show you also an agent how to do it. Also, you can add it here. For example, here my agent, when I test my agent here, I said search all the file with the host. Here, for example, I have an agent that I add many knowledge inside my SharePoint embedded container. And here I ask my agent to find the file with the name Boston, and here it will search all my files. So it's SharePoint Embedded, you can store your file on it, and you can work with this content from your Power Apps and with Power Platform, and also from your Copilot agent and everything. As you can see here, I find this file. It's stored in content storage. You can check the link on the left of my screen. It's this file is content storage. So I have everything in my slides. If you want, I will share with the organizer after the event, and feel free to check it and to have all the link for it. So I will turn to my slide. And the conclusion is very important when you work with the storage and everything. You need to calculate the cost for your solution. I have many customers, they say to me, it's a SharePoint site, it's free. So it's not free. You pay when you exceed. But for each project, you need to calculate the cost for the build and the run in terms of storage. And since Microsoft has developed many applications with SharePoint Embedded, you can do it with your organization. You can develop many applications. You can sell it to other user, other company, and you need to study your cost for your storage before you develop your application. And here I put all the useful link for SharePoint Embedded solution. We have with Postman. Pointer, with Postman, all the collection Graph API you will find in the first link. And for the SharePoint embedded solution, starter kit solution, Power Apps with Power Platform, we have the link for it, and everything on Microsoft Learn, you will find it. And also, if you want to test the new connector, you can scan this link and you can apply with Microsoft for it. And you can use it in private preview. You can test it with your Microsoft 365 tenant. And thank you for attending my session. And if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, you have my LinkedIn. If you have any question, feel free to ask. And I will share with you all the presentation. I will send it to organize. Okay.
Thank you, Jamal. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
If you have
Yeah,
any
we really
question,
appreciate it.
I'm free to.
Yes, if anyone is having any questions, then please feel free to unmute yourself and ask, please. It was really very informative how we can just unlock the data storage capabilities in Power Apps with SharePoint Embedded. That's really very informative. Thank you so much once again.
Okay, thank you.
With that, let me stop the recording. Our